Good morning, guys. This is the lesson for Monday, April 6th. I am going to talk through it, and this will be posted on eClass for you to reference. And just remember, you can email me with any questions you have. So your target time, your warm-up activity that we would do, this is on your worksheet, which you can access in Google Classroom. It looks like this. Okay, so this is in Google Classroom for you to use. It follows the PowerPoint. So the first thing you're going to do is take a few minutes and edit this entry from Charlie. This is from March 4th. Obviously, you guys have the benefit of the squiggly lines, but there are other edits that need to be made. Okay, so after you do that, then you can go to the next slide, which has all the corrections. And then this is what I want you to make sure you spend some time doing on your worksheet. I want you to pause and recap and review the story. List the top 5 main details from Flowers for Algernon. So let's imagine that your parents have asked you, what's the story about? And you only have 5 sentences to tell them. So this is going to be important that you do this to help you with today's exercise, and you're going to write them down right here. I might start with a general statement about Charlie Gordon is 37 years old and wants to be smarter. And you might want to add some information about why he struggles with his relationships with his peers, and he thinks if he's smarter that it will help him in life. So another detail is because of that, he volunteers for the scientific study experiment where they operate on his brain. The study is successful, and this might be where you want to bring in Algernon and explain that Charlie is expected to test his mental processes against a mouse as the control. The understanding is that Algernon has had the same exact procedure performed on him. And then you might want to add about how Charlie becomes so intelligent that he continues his own studies. And he finds that for a while his life is normal and that he can have improved relationships, but his newfound knowledge affects him emotionally. There's some emotional maturity that happens when he realizes those around him are making fun of him. His friends at the factory he worked, he develops a relationship and feelings for Miss Kenyon when he realizes that they are the same age and that they are meant to be peers. And then as he gets so smart, he then experiences the same type of distancing and disconnect that he had at the beginning of the story. Instead of being below everybody else intellectually, he's now above them, and he cannot interact with his peers and those around him because he cannot speak on a level that they understand. And the story, if we remember a plot diagram, goes up and then down. That triangular chart would plot the progress of his mental ability. It goes up drastically, and then it recedes drastically. The point with Algernon is he becomes so intelligent and he does his own studies, he realizes that Algernon's brain begins to basically disintegrate. There's comments in the story about the ripples in his brain smoothing out, and Algernon essentially ends up dying. And we are meant to understand that the same thing is going to happen to Charlie, but he finishes his scientific study so that his study and the experiment he partook in would not be in vain. So that's kind of a recap of the story. And what we're going to talk about today is how you take that information about what a story is about and what is in the story and help us understand the theme. So your central question is, how do I clearly analyze how the central idea of a text supports the theme of a story? So we're going to focus on two things: being able to identify the difference between a central idea and a theme, and then talking about how the central idea supports the theme. And you are going to do a writing to explain that. So the next thing, and you're going to fill this in your notes if you go back to your worksheet, the chart down here is for you to fill in your notes. So you have that same essential question there. In the PowerPoint, I want you to write these things down. So a central idea is a summary of the story plus the point. Okay, so we've got big ideas, an essential idea, and a theme, but they are slightly different. A theme is the lesson or moral discovered through the story, and we've talked about at great length that it has to be universal. You have to be able to apply it to your own life. The central idea, though, is the specific details. So a lot of you do a really good job at getting this. You'll give me the summary of the story, the point, what the character learns, but you want to use the characters' names, like Charlie. Charlie discovers. To make that a theme, we have to make it universal, and we have to be able to take that statement and apply it to our own life. So here's an example. In the Diary of Anne Frank, this is the summary plus the points. A young girl learns that being a teenager can be lonely while living and hiding with her family. All right, here's the summary piece. She's a teenage girl. She's living and hiding with her family. The point is she learns that being a teenager can be lonely, regardless of if you're surrounded by your friends or if you're isolated with your family, which I am sure that a lot of you all can relate to. I know my son in particular is really missing his friends right now. So if you look over here, this is the central idea. This is the theme. We would break this down and say being a teenager can be lonely. We can apply that to our own life. We can apply that to different stories. Okay, that's the difference between the central idea versus the theme. Now, what I want you to look at on your paper is how this might show up in multiple choice questioning, because sometimes when you take a test, these words, central idea and theme, seem to be used as synonyms, but they're slightly different. There's some subtleties there. So here's two questions. These are on your paper. Which statement best describes the central idea of Flowers for Algernon? I want you to read through all of these, but the correct answer would be A. A man undergoes a scientific experiment to gain intelligence. That's our summary statement, but fails to learn the complexities of social interaction. That's the point. That's the point, the main thing that we're supposed to get out of the plot summary, what actually happened. Then when you look over here, which quote from the story best supports the theme that human emotions matter more than intellect? So this question here is giving you the theme. Human emotions matter more than intellect. So which quote from the story best supports that? And the correct answer, after you read through all of these, would be, you used to be a good, dependable, ordinary man, not too bright, but honest. Now, that statement was made by the lady at the factory who is talking to Charlie about why everybody else is uncomfortable with him. So he's gained intelligence and he feels like he can interact with them better, but now nobody trusts him. They don't understand how he got all this intelligence. It feels unnatural and unsafe. So your job today is to write an objective summary explaining how the central idea supports the theme. Now, guys, I want you to notice that we have thinking questions here for you to use. These questions are here to help you form your frame of thought. We have the central idea, and right here you have a theme. Now, for those of you who want to challenge yourself, you absolutely can write a different theme. You do not have to use that one that's on the multiple choice question, but you are going to write me a constructed response and you are going to turn it in. So basically, remember, you're telling me what the theme in the story is, and then you're talking to me about how the central idea supports that. So if that language is difficult for you, remember what I just said. The central idea is the summary plus the point. So you are explaining to me how the plot events, the summary, what happened in the story, the point of those moments, how that defends, supports, develops whatever theme you are going to put in your topic sentence. Okay, so I'm looking for 8 to 12 sentences minimum. Here is your format. Okay, this is your checklist to use. And you are going to answer that right here on your worksheet. Okay, if you need more space, the boxes will grow with you. I want you to recognize that this is your quiz reassessment opportunity. The quiz you guys took before spring break over this story was tough. It was a tough quiz. It was a good quiz, but it was tough. And I think a lot of you struggled with it. So this grade will replace that quiz in the grade book. This is your opportunity to fix that. So this is your assignment for today. You are writing this constructed response. Guys, this is the piece I'm grading. I want to see that you filled out the notes and you've went through the lesson, but I am grading the constructed response. Now, you have the freedom to choose the theme you like best, and if you don't want to use the theme in the questions, but this is your assignment for today. Now, after you turn this in, I want you to talk back through it on your own, make sure you understand what a central idea is, how we define that, what the theme is, how we define that, and how the two work together. Okay, please remember you can email me with any questions, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Have a fantastic Monday, guys.